Alright, today we are here talking about the Paul Macbeth Discraft Anax. This is a prototype driver from Paul. It is a 10-speed, 6 glide, 0 and 3 for the turn. Discraft number is 1.9. Now we did order 2 of these discs. This is the first one that we'll be throwing in the video, and this one was the second one. Both of them have these nice color scheme going on with both of them. This one is the lighter of the two, coming in about 170, and this one is a little bit heavier, coming in at 175. So let's talk about it. Question that we always want to know about disc is how they feel in the hand. You can see the profile of the disc there. Again, like most 10-speed drivers, nothing that off. It does have a slight curvature here to that plane, but it doesn't. It's not uncomfortable as far as the grip goes. So you can see with the power grip on the back hand, it looks like that. Very easily forehandable as well, or even with the stack grip. Both of the discs have the same basic profile, not pop top, just flat. And the parting line on both of these is pretty much in the center. So we should expect to see similar flights out of this outside of the weight difference. I think with the weight difference, this is just going to hold the 0 a little bit longer than this will. This is going to break out and try to fade into the low speed turn a little bit faster because of the weight. But that right there is all speculation. There's no way to know until we get it out there on the field. So let's go. Alright, here we go. Throwing the Anax. Got some exploratory throws here, trying to see if the numbers are true. The flight numbers in this disc are coming in at a 10, 6 for the glide, 0 and 3 for the fade. With the first few throws here, we see that yeah, they are about true to the number. There really is no turn to this disc unless you really force it on there. And this right here was a little bit of an anti-thrown. It did go to the right just a tad bit, but always finishes strong to the left. Here we got a tailwind helping us out with this throw as well. And you'll see again it's holding that the release angle that it's going out on, and then it's going to steadily fade at the end of the flight. This right here was a hyzer, seeing how it acts, and we did have some wind. This was a headwind with a slight right to left, which I think helped push the disc further over to the left. But they are going out on hyzer, holding that line, and then at the low speed turn just finishing. And we got some tailwind going here, and this one it actually looks like it flipped up slightly, but that may have been the wind helping it do that. No matter what, it still went out and finished to the left. The finish on this disc is without question. Now this was a missed throw. I looked at my feet, so I think I slipped or something. It came out low, but it still went straight, hit the ground, skipped, and kept penetrating to the left. Here we got more of a right to left wind. And again, low, ground play, skipping, and finishing over to the left. So if you're looking for a 10-speed disc that is, I want to say more than slightly overstable because it's nowhere near neutral, this one may be the one for you. Paul does a great job of picking some nice color combinations here. The first one that we're throwing is a little bit prettier than the second one, the purple one, but that's just personal opinion there. All right, we have some left to right going here with these throws, and finishing not too far away from where the first one went. All right, now we got some full-on antes going here. And this is a real test. It holds that anti line, gets to the low speed turn, and then fades and finishes. That's the disc doing what the disc is supposed to do. Here's another one. This one was throwing a little bit more nose up, but it still holds the line going out there, and then low speed turn, falls to the ground. Try this again with the wind going in a different direction. It still holds the line, not quite as long, but it stays straight and then finishes on line with the target, which was the cameraman at this point. Throw it again. Another Annie with the wind going from right to left. This one got a little extra carry from the wind and went all the way to the cameraman. This was more of a straight throw here. Straight, then ground play. I mean, we're seeing the same thing with the disc. I'm almost getting tired of repeating myself. This was thrown a little bit low. Still goes out a good distance, gets some ground play, and still just trying to penetrate over to the left. It's always trying to fade, that's without question. Let's do some forehands here and see what we have. That was a nice forehand. It went out straight, then got to the low speed turn, and again, I'm repeating myself over and over again. This one I threw with a little bit of Annie on it, but you see it just flexes out of the Annie, hits the ground, and is still working over to the right. This one's with tailwind. Threw a little bit harder here to see if it would handle it, and it quite did. I saw the little flutter as it came out the hand because I was really trying to get into it. Here, do the same thing with the purple one. Not as much Annie, but still comes to a respectable finish.
We've got the Anax in the field. You'll see the wind indicator up on your top left-hand side to give you an idea of what the wind was doing that day. So this was a light hyzer thrown with the lighter of the two discs into a headwind. And there are no issues here with this disc fighting its way through that headwind. Not a strong headwind, but it's going to pick up as we move along here. Tailwind here on these shots coming back. Wasn't a strong tailwind per se, but there was definitely a noticeable wind helping this disc to kind of finish along after its glide. So I'm going to give this one a little bit more height, throwing it relatively flat, and the disc will get its way to hyzer angle, find its way back over, and predictably finish. So let's have a running tally of how many times I say predictable and finish on this review. This is a higher hyzer, again into a headwind, which was also a bit of a right to left crosswind, so it's going to help move the disc over a little bit more from right to left. This was a little bit of a higher toss, and again, when you see the disc spike down, that wind and along with the ground play kind of moves it more to the left. Coming back, there's a bit of a tailwind on this side, which again will help it to finish more stable. That should have been a spike landing. It lands on the disc and it just gives it a little bit more slidage, if that's a real word. So I threw this one out a little bit further, hoping to get that spike angle, and that's what I was expecting the other disc to do when it hits the ground, and they end up right by each other. So the weight difference on these two discs isn't making a big impact. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy. These are going into a right to left crosswind on Anheuser, and the disc is fighting out violently. I could not maintain the angle and that turn on an Anheuser into a crosswind. It just nose down and just fights its way back out. Pretty impressive, I gotta say. The level of glide that you get with this disc, along with the amount of fade and finish, that predictability, is pretty unique. I gotta say, Discraft has something here that I haven't thrown before from their lineup. Yes, there's other discs that are similar, but this is almost in a category all its own. So that one I just got over a little bit too much on, and the crosswind was moving left to right, which kind of flushed it over to the right, just flattened it out. Forehands with this disc, you guessed it, predictable. There's going to be a good amount of wait for it, finish. I mean, this disc will do its numbers. It will give you a good amount of glide. That turn, that fade kicks in, gives you some ground play. You know what it's going to do. These discs were consistently ending up right by each other. No matter what the wind conditions were, the discs were going to do their numbers. This was a bit of a tailwind coming back, so there's going to be a little bit more stability kicking in at the end. This next one here is going to get up a little bit higher, which lets the wind kind of get under it a little more and make it finish more. But I mean, I knew what I was getting each and every time with these throws and with these discs. That's always a good thing.
The Discraft Paul Macbeth edition of the Anax, the prototype driver, is getting a rating of in the trunk. Now, if you've just watched the review, you know that I've had nothing but good platitudes about the disc. But for me, the slot in my bag for it just doesn't quite exist right now. Now, I put it in the trunk because I can see there being a particular time or course that, this disc is just going to be the one that I'm looking for. But as far as regular, everyday, casual, even tournament play, the stability of the disc, the flight pattern of the disc isn't something that I'm readily going to go into the bag and look for. So if it was in the bag, it would be constantly overlooked until that one shot that I need it for. Really, right now, it would just be more of a utility disc than an actual everyday pull it out my bag and go to. So because of that, it's getting the rating of in the trunk.
The Anax by Discraft is getting a final rating of in the garage. This disc is very unique. The level of glide that you get with the predictability out of a fairway driver is unlike anything I've thrown for Discraft before. Other discs have come somewhat close, but this has a unique flight and a unique predictability to it in varying conditions. As you saw from the video, throwing it on forehands as well as backhands in differing wind conditions, the disc would consistently finish each and every time. You got a predictable amount of fade, good amount of ground play. You knew what the disc was going to do. Just for my arm speed, with that glide, I expected a little bit more of a level flight before it started to finish, and I just wasn't able to get that angle correct each and every time. It was a little touchy for me, and I think the disc for my arm speed maybe isn't a great fit. So for that reason, it's going in the garage. We here at Ace Run Productions want to give a very special thank you to Infinite Discs. They supplied us with the disc that you saw during this review video. The link in the description will take you right to that disc if you're looking to pick one up today. Head on over to infinitedisc.com for all your disc golf needs.